Ja tervetuloa takaisin Justice for Allin läpi pelusen. Vai sitä pitää jatkaa vielä. Mun tekee koko ajan mieli vaan syödä. Dude, I can't believe that Adrian... No way, not cool and collected Adrian Andrews. She's your manager. It would have been very easy for her to pull this off. The only person who had easy access to the knife you used at the dinner was, well, her. So after the ceremony during its break, I was sleeping like a log the entire time. She could have also easily planted that blood-covered button in your hakama. Because she was up. She was the one that came to wake me up. And then, dude, you are saying it really was her? Yes, she is the real killer. She was the one who murdered Juan Corrida. But why? I thought she was buds with Juan. She has her own agenda. Her own agenda? What are you talking about? So you'll see by the time this trial's over. It'll be alright. I'll get you acquitted by the end of today. Get me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze, okay, Mr. Lawyer Dude? Phoenix, you think her motive is related to Celeste Impact's missing suicide note, right? Yes. Miss Andrews depended on Miss Impacts as her strength and reason to live. But then Miss Impact suddenly killed herself. It sounds like she left a suicide note and the person thought to have hidden it is Juan Corrida, the victim of this murder. And that's why I think that Miss Andrews got close to Miss Corrida. I'll to get the suicide note back. That sounds plausible, but one thing bothers me. What? Who was it that first told us about the relationship? Better stated, Miss Andrews' dependency issues with regards to Miss Impacts. It was Edgeworth. It looks like he's still the one in command of this ship. Don't let your guard down yet. Court will now reconvene. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you please. The prosecution calls the witness subpoenaed by this court. Mr. Adrian Andrews, the person who discovered the crime in Mr. Juan Corrida's room. What is your occupation? I'm the manager of the defendant in this case, Mr. Matt Engard. I see. Now then, before we begin, Your Honor, I have one request. Yes, sir. What is it? I'm sure everyone in this room is wondering the same thing, and would love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was the topic of a certain weekly magazine recently. No, I have no idea what you mean. I've never even heard of Gossipland. If the judge was ever a prosecution witness, he'd do all my work for me. Anyway, I was wondering if you could please tell us about your relation to the victim. Yes, I was seeing Missy Corrida. I was also aware of the rivalry that existed between Matt and Juan, but this was a private matter between Juan and myself. So it was a fry and bait matter. Or was it bait and fry? Reminds me of fishing. But I didn't kill him. No one is accusing you of that. I think there's someone who would beg to differ. I think we all understand your relationship with the victim now, Miss Andrews. Very well then, witness, please testify to the court about what happened when you discovered the murder that had taken place. When I found the body, it was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room, and there was his dead body. I was in shock. What I saw was, naturally, the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. You poured yourself a glass of juice? Yes, sadly I didn't remember not to touch things at the scene of a crime. And I disturbed the crime scene by moving this one thing. And that is when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Joanna. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Phoenix. She is one cool and collected customer, and she has the brains to match. Yes, I know. In order to catch a person like her, you have to avoid head-on confrontations. You should disrupt her pacing. Disrupt her pacing? This is a type of woman who is easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her thinking. So you have to attack when she least expects it. The instant you let on your offense is the instant that this trial is over, understand? When I found the body. It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. And what was Mr. Enkard doing at the time? He was taking a nap. He was worn out from his mimic performance as the Nickel Samurai during the ceremony. Mr. Enkard did say he was taking a nap. Then I guess you could say it could not have been taken out of his room, yes? Excuse me? It? What are you? Right, I thought years of school would have taught you how to construct a sentence. If you can't make a sensible sentence with a subject, then I'll make one for you. Watch. Did you, Miss Andrews, remove Mr. Enkard's knife from his room? No. Subject, verb, object. Right. Did you skip basic grammar? The witness may continue. After that, I went to Juan's room. And why did you do that? As a friendly gesture, Juan was to make an appearance with the other heroes. So the show was supposed to be a show of friendship, huh? Is that the only reason? I beg your pardon, what are you implying? You had a certain goal in mind when you started to get close to him, correct? So perhaps you had a more personal matter to discuss with the victim. Sorry, but I didn't have any such intentions in mind at that time. I can't get her to talk without a strong piece of evidence, I guess. Maybe continue now. Witness, what did you see when you got to his room? And there was his body. I was in shock. You were in shock? What? Was I not supposed to be? Sanders is a very calculating person, and despite how close they were, I doubt she had romantic feelings for Missy Corrida. Anyone randomly stumbling upon a dead body would be in shock, and you can't seriously expect that a young beauty like her would not be shocked. Somehow, I don't think beauty has anything to do with being shocked or not. I see. What I saw was naturally the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. This is the photo you are referring to, correct? Yes, the one with the knife lodged in his chest. And the guitar case was like this too. Yes, it was open and empty, of course. And then, what did you do next, witness? I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. Juice? Yes, and there was a bottle of tomato juice on the table, so I helped myself. But you didn't drink any of it, did you? Huh? There were no lip marks on this wine glass to suggest that anyone drank from it. I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I set the glass down without drinking it. Miss Andrews, I would like to confirm with you one more time. When you discovered the dead body of one gorilla, you were in great shock. And that's when you poured yourself the glass of juice, correct? And what of it? My mind really was a complete blank at the time. Your mind was a complete blank? I didn't think that was possible for you. Aren't you rude today? I was so dazed that I made one careless mistake. That's one thing. What one thing? Never mind. I'm no big deal. It's no big deal. What was she starting to say just now? Press further. Miss Andrews, I'm convinced that, as you said, you made a mistake at the scene of the crime. What I really want to know is what this mistake was. Actually, so would I. I'm sorry. It's kind of embarrassing. When I set the glass down to on the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over. The flower vase? Are you talking about the one on the floor in the crime photo? This mess of glass shards? It was originally on top of the dresser, but when I bumped into it with my elbow, it fell on the guitar case. Why did you withhold such an important piece of information? I'm sorry. I thought that since the crime scene was already in disarray, that people would simply assume the vase was just another part of the mess. It looks like yet another fact has come to light here. Please add this and anything else you have to reveal to your testimony. I'm sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else. I was the one who knocked the flower vase over where it fell under the guitar case. What kind of flower vase was it? It was a glass vase, and it was fairly big and heavy. I thought I would try to take one pulse, so I set the glass I was holding down on the dresser, and that's when my elbow accidentally hit the vase. That's odd. I thought she was always in total control of herself. That's what she would like people to think. Always be mindful of the gap between your perception and reality. It doesn't sound like there's any glaring contradictions in her testimony just now. I warned you earlier that she would not crack so easily. The only way to make her is to keep on the offensive and not let up. The only way you are going to catch her is with some strong, decisive evidence. I have to find something. I just have to, for my sake. No, tähän pitäisi nyt sitten keksiä jotain. Ainoa niinku korrelaatios tämä, että se on kasvanut siitä, mutta se on korrelaatio eikä contradictioni, mitä mä yritän tässä nyt etsiä. Se voi olla ehkä tämä kakkosvaihtoehtona. Tai sitten ykkösvaihtoehto tämä, mutta en kyllä tiedä kummassakaan, että niinku varsinaisesti että miksi, mutta koitetaan. You testified that you knocked the flower vase over. Is this correct? Yes. And are you sure it fell on the guitar case? Is there some problem with what I said? It's not some problem, it's a major problem. It's true that the top of the guitar case was wet with water. However, that's exactly what is so strange. Miss Andrews, you testified that the vase fell on the guitar case. Anni, sanoiko jotain, että se kitarakotelo oli auki? Miksi se olisi sieltä sisällä sitten kastunut, jos se olisi ollut auki. Et jos se olisi ollut kiinni, niin siinä on enemmän järkeä, että se on kaatunut sen päälle ja kastunut sen. Riippuu toki, että missä kulmassa se on kaatunut ja miten. Että hyvin mahdollista kyllä olisi, että se kastelee vaan ainoastaan sen kannen siitä, vaikka se on auki. No, katsotaan mitä Phoenix keksii. However, if that was true, the case should have gotten wet on the inside, not the outside. That's very true. Furthermore, there is one other strange thing about this guitar case. What is that? Let's take another look at the crime scene photo. Niin jos on tyylin tossa kaatunut tonne noin. Tosin se on tossa kohtaa. Nyt se olisi kaatunut tyylin niinku losahtanut tohon noin. Ei se olisi mitenkään voinut mennä kaatua tälle puolelle, jos se on sun vaan tonne kulmaan. The remains of the vase are scattered on the floor. And what is wrong with that? If the guitar case was open when the vase fell, the glass shards should be inside, not outside the case. What is your point, Wright? That the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over? Is that all? No, think back to what Miss Andrews testified to. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else. Yes, that's right. She did implicitly say she didn't touch the guitar case. But this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. It has no bearing on this case at all. That may very well be. However, the empty guitar case does seem to have no relation to this case, doesn't it? Seems that there is no deeper meaning to the guitar case. Well, Mr. Wright, do you think we need to hear more details about the guitar case? Make her testify. The empty guitar case. I believe this is a crucial piece of the puzzle. I can't believe anyone would reach for straws like this, but it is you. I can't believe I'm doing this either. Alright, I'll follow along, for now. Miss Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar case. Yes, Your Honor. The guitar case. I don't remember too closely because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. As for why I opened the case, even I don't know. Indeed. It looks like this really wasn't a very important point. This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling by now that it's almost comforting. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and start the cross-examination. Using any way to change the topic, a convenient escape for a weak man. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. During your testimony just now, did you remember those events clearly in your mind? Well, you see, I'm sure you are the one who opened the guitar case. She's waiting for someone to tell her if she should answer or not. Sounds like her dependent side is taken over. Well, Miss Andrews? Yes, it was me. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. So, you opened the guitar case then? Yes, well, maybe. Why did you open the guitar case? Huh? Miss Corrida's dead body was right there in front of you, wasn't it? I think that the first thing you would do is call for help, not open the guitar case. As the witness has said multiple times, when she found the dead body, she was dazed. Maybe I was curious to know if the bright red guitar was alright or not. I thought maybe the criminal took it. Why would she care about the bright red guitar? But getting back on topic. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. Was it really empty? I was just wondering if maybe when you opened the case, the guitar was still inside. How long have you been a lawyer, Mr. Wright? Have a little professionalism. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. These trials would be over in half the time if you would just pay attention. Yes, pay attention. Pay more attention, Mr. Wright. Älkää sekoittako mua, please. Sorry. Okay, sekoittunut mua. That's why I opened the case. Even I don't know. Was that because you were shocked and dazed at discovering the victim's body? Yes, that's probably it. I'm not going to get anywhere if I continue pressing her like this. The only way to make her talk is with evidence. I guess I should give it a try. Come on, Phoenix. We can't afford to let up on her now. I wasn't planning on letting up, but she's at her weakest now, so this is our chance. Yeah, if you had a weapon to hit her with. Her weapon is hiding somewhere in the court record, waiting to be found. En se vaan vielä. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. No, en voi tähän väittää mitään vastaan. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the bass over. Seems plausible. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. Joo, niin se oli. As for why I opened the case, even I don't know. Tästä kyllä haluaisin vähän selkeämmän vastauksen. Mut tähän mä voisin koittaa ehkä esittää jotain että sulla oli syy siihen. Mut mitä mä näytän siihen? En tiedä. Ei niinku mitään hajua kyllä nyt. Hetkonen muuten. Tässä väitetään, että siinä on Corridan fingerprintit, sormenjäljet. Mutta ei oo ton Adrianin sormenjälkiä. Tai niissä ei mitään mainita. No tässä se sanoo, I suppose I must open the guitar case. Mut sinä et avannut. There is no way you were the one who opened the guitar case. Why would you say that? It's elementary, my dear. Because the only fingerprints on this guitar case are those of the victim. Ah. What is it, Mr. Andrews? Miss Andrews? You shouldn't assume that I must have left prints just because I touched the case. What do you mean? What if I were to tell you that I was wearing gloves at the time? Gloves? But why would you be wearing gloves at the time? It was the night of the award ceremony, so of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes, now I remember. I'm almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems the witness was wearing gloves at the scene of the crime. That's strange. You were wearing gloves. Isn't that a little strange? Why is that strange? Do you have something that would prove I was not wearing gloves at the time? Saa enkarnin sormenjäljet. Jos mä tosiaan väitän, että sillä ei olisi mukaan ollut hanskaa, niin tässä on kyllä nyt kaikenlaisia niin vrisseriä tätä varten vastaan, että jos se on pukeutunut tähän... Ai vitsi. Ei mut sitä pitänyt presentata. I think it's time for you to go home now, right? Before you hurt yourself, that is. Hurt myself? It's alright, Mr. Wright. You don't have to push yourself so hard. I guess I was trying a little too hard there. Now, if the defense has no further objections, let's return the testimony. Okei, mua ei rankas siitä. Mut tää selkeästi johti johonkin. Mutta mun pitäis nyt keksiä en mä kyllä muutenkaan keksi. Tässä paitsi jos mä tähän kohtaan pressaan tuota. Tai kun presentaan tätä. Okei, sillä ei varsinaisesti väliä, että mihinkä täällä molemmissa toimii nämä. Mut ei ollut ainoastaan yksi vaihtoehto. Ei kyllä muu on taas kysyttävä apua. Miten mä sanon ton pois? Joo, allow ads. Eikö tossa tulee spoilereita, jos mä näytän ton? Mikä se näissä oli? Joo, tossa. Okei. Eli tuota. No, se tulee tässä kohta. Mä olin tosiaan oikealla jäljellä. Ois vaan pitänyt miettiä tätä hetki pidempään. Ei nyt tullut mieleen mallia väsynyt. Kun mä koitin miettiä että tässä ei oo sen sormenjälkiä. Tässä ei oo sen sormenjälkiä tässä kuvassa. Näkyy, että jos on pukeutunut tohon jos on pukeutunut tähän, niin sillä olisi hanskat kädessä. Mä koitin miettiä että missä näkyy sen sormenjäljet. Mutta tietenkin tässä näin. Tässä lukee, että tässä on Andrewn sormenjäljet. Mutta se on ollut paljon käsin siellä liikkeellä, mutta se ei siis ole voinut olla se meidän murhaaja. Mut joo, viidennolla siis näkyy sen sormielet. I have your proof right here. This is wine glass. The wine glass? You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Even if you took your glass off when you poured yourself this glass of wild juice, wouldn't you think it was just a little strange that you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case? Order, order, order. Looks like you hit the nail on the head this time. What do you mean? I believe that guitar case plays a very important role here. But it's just an empty case. I wonder if it really was empty though. But the guitar, the bright red guitar was at the studio. Phoenix, drop all your presumptions. What was in the guitar case? What was in the guitar case was not a bright red guitar. You don't mean it was bright white guitar? Wait, that's not right either. I admit it would be unnatural for someone to do that. So the witness was not wearing gloves, despite the fact that on the case. Joanna, this is obvious the defense's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and lull us into his misguided. No, Joanna. Please recall that Miss Andrews had testified that the vase fell under the guitar case, which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it is wide open in this photo of the crime scene. And so this guitar case has some relation to the murder. If you're so certain, right, then I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim, correct? Please enlighten us as to why that guitar case has anything at all to do with this murder. Can you do that, Mr. Wright? Well, let's suppose for a second that the bright red guitar was not the only thing. That the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case. The bright red guitar not being the only thing. You don't mean to suggest that it was a bright black guitar. So you're in that to push your theory that the case was not empty. Is that it, right? I want to say something I didn't intend to prove. Deflate that head of yours. You haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside this case at the time of the murder? Tää on hyvin randomia, mutta lotaan kamera. Mitä muutakaan siellä olisi voinut olla? Kuva ei. Tää konferenssitiketti ei. Tämä minun radio ei. Miksi tämäkään ois? Ei. Ei se nyt se itsessään sisällä ole. Tuskin se siellä mitään plasiakaan oli sisällä. Ei se nyt tuota ainakaan ollut. Miten tääkään olisi sinne mennyt? Raportteja tai autopsireportteja. Ei mitään haju, miksi siellä olisi mitään sisällä. No, katsotaan mihin tää johtaa. And why would something like that be inside the guitar case, let alone this one? Why, Mr. Wright, why? Well, I just thought it might have been possible. I have a suggestion. Why don't you put that in a void where your brain is supposed to be? Yes, I never bring it out again. Yes, I never bring it out again. Can't a foolishly foolish fool get some love? Do you still think you can prove your theory? Can you prove that guitar case was not empty at the time of the murder? No, koitetaan vielä. Mitä muutakaan sillä olisi voinut olla? Tää puukko. Katsotaan milloin osutaan oikein sen, niin sitten ladataan peliin. Tässä ei mitään järkeä, miksi tämä nappi siellä olisi ollut, mutta... Joo. No, yksi asia mulla kyllä oli tossa jo äsken mielessä. Mut sitten tää menee kyllä niinku... Tää on niinku sitten niinku... Tää olisi niinku superarvaus, jos tää menee oikein. Millään ei voi kukaan kyllä arvata tätä niinku... Tää on siis... Se pitää arvata, ei sitä voi tietää. Niinku millään tavalla, jos tämä on siellä ollut. Ei. Tää klippingi. Tässä on ehkä järkeä, minkä takia se on sitten ainakin ottanut sen pois sieltä. Ei. Tulee mieleen, että joku henkilö on saattanut olla siellä, mutta... Tämä on meidän uhrimme, mutta ei se kyllä mihinkään kitarakoteloon mahdu. Siinä ei ole mitään järkeä. Kaikkein vähiten järkeä. No, ei oo toi. Ei oo toi. Koitinko mä tota lasia jo? Ei oo toi. Mä en oo koittanut tätä lasia missään muussa. Sitten jää jäljelle vaan henkilöt. Ei hemmetti, mikä se voi olla? Ei se nyt mitään henkilöä ole sisällä. Joo, ei. Mä oon kyllä nyt aika hukassa. Kuvaa sitä nikkelisamuraista. Okei. Tähän oli tää kitarakotelo ja... On kummaa. Koska tossa oli sun sormenkilet. Eli... Tämä. This is a photograph. Yes, but what is important is what is in that picture, Your Honor. In this picture, it doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I am proposing is inside the guitar case was the nickel samurai, the hero's very own costume. Nyt oli kyllä vähän kaukaa haettua. Kuvan perusteella väitetään, että siellä oli se vaatteet. Okei. Missä tämmönenkin pitäisi saada mieleen sitä, että okei, siellä oli sen... Itse jos miettii, niin... Mut miksi ne olisi siellä? Insatskitakeis was se Nicholson. Niin, miksi sen kilpailijan vaatteet olisi siellä siinä? No, katsotaan mihin tää johtaa. Inside the Kitakeis was the Nickel Samurai, the hero's very own costume. What? Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Right, are you saying that the witness opened the Kitakeis to take out the costume? What insane point would there be to doing something like that? That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity, so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews? I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot correct. You mean this photo? Order! It looks like we have wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we? Nice job, Phoenix. Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later. So the real murderer was hiding inside the costume. Oh, wait a second, Joanna. The Nickel Samurai's costume would have been Mr. Matt in Goddess. Why would something of the defendants be in the victim's room? And inside the guitar case of all places? True, that is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. Niminäki, what was this Nickel Samurai costume doing inside the guitar case? Tähän seivin ei tarvi kliksutella seuraavaa 5 minuuttia taas uudestaan. Eikö siinä molemmat pidä paikkansa? Jos se on ylimääräinen puku, niin se on varastettu siltä. Tosi sen päältä, sitten ensimmäinen kyllä vihjasi siihen, että se on varastettu sen päältä, joka sen nukkui niiden kanssa. Niin it was a spare costume, siinä on niitä järkeä. Miss Engard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we talking about was a spare one. What? Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nickel Samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel? Yes, that is what I'm saying. And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case? It would mean that the victim himself had brought this pair to the ceremony on purpose. But why? The victim, Mr. Corrida, was the Chairman Ninja. Why would he secretly bring the Nickel Samurai's spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind such a peculiar act? And therein lies the sticking point. Well, what are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? No, I just... Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the Nickel Samurai's spare costume? Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer, and then answer with gusto. I believe in you. Alright, this is what I think. The reason the victim brought the Nickel Samurai's spare costume to the hotel was... Ja ei pystyn valitsemaan, että niinku, että meneekö asiassa eteenpäin vai en. Pitää vaan näyttää se. Op. Tokkisin polvella mun vanhaa tietokonetta. Miksi? Phoenix, jakaisit sä ajatuksia mulle? Miksi mun pitää set viettämään? Mä oon yhtä pihalla kuin kaikki muutkin. Se halusi lavastaa jonkun. Vai oliko se liittyy sitten tähän? Seems like Nickel Samurai is to confess something after the post-ceremony stage. Itse asiassa siinä on enemmän järkeä. Joo, kyllä. Aivan. Se olisi ollut Korida, joka olisi mennyt tekemään jotain tunnustuksia, josta toi Encarne ei ollut kuullut mitään. Se selittäisi kaikki. What is this? On the night of the murder, at the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference. A press conference? Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well. For once, you are not making something up right. But what struck me as strange was that Mr. God himself said he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night. But how can that be? The way I see it, that can mean only one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Corrida himself. The victim? Yes. The spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for the very conference. Mr. Corrida was going to hold the press conference as the Nickel Samurai. He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference. But what would the victim do? But why would the victim do such a thing? That's something I don't quite know yet, however. What I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something. And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Corrida, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Matt and God. Yes, I guess that is what it would mean. But if that's the case, that's not a confession, that's public disclosure. Miss Andrews, I can see why you are pros at what you do. Pardon me? Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan. Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation of all this. I was the one who asked to help set it up, and the person who prepared this costume for him, that was also me. You? Juan had bet everything on the Chami Ninja this year, and if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought anyway. He was going to ruin him, huh? It looked like somehow Juan had in his hands a secret. It looked like somehow Juan had in his hands a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed. What? And do you know what this secret of Mr. Engardes is, Miss Andrews? That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is. I see. I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone, but that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt, after all. But protect Mr. Encard? And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could, please tell us the truth about your behavior. Yes, Joanna, I understand. Protecting Matt. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what, and he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the baton and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him. This does account for everything. Well, I am the logical type. Real fun is seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit. If the defense can find no fault with the testimony, I am ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine Mr. Wright. Looks like somehow everything has swung to the opposite end of the scale again. That just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Mä voisin ottaa pakilla. Pistetään tähän vaikka save. Alright, jatketaan. Would you say that was your intuition speaking to you? Don't confuse my methods for reasoning with your own. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things. 3 things? A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. And if you think these 3 things through, the answer becomes quite clear. You should have already known that Phoenix. They didn't teach that to us in school, at least not from what I remember. May I continue now? And had to kill one no matter what. So would you say this need came from the press conference? Yes, do you know why Juan chose the event and that hotel for the conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt and God. And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews? Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume. But I'm certain Miss Engard himself didn't know anything about the press conference. Oh really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference? Anyway, the important thing here is that this information was not in your testimony. Yes, I agree. Miss Andrews, please correct your testimony, if you please. Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright? I know what his motive was, but I don't have any way to prove I'm right. Has Mr. Engard done something to hurt or betray you personally? What do you ask? You were the one who helped Mr. Corrado with his press conference, and that event was supposed to bring down Mr. Engard, yet you still helped out. The person on trial right now is Mr. Engard, right? What the witness was thinking, helping the victim with his plan, is none of our concern. In any case, this means that the defendant has a motive to kill. Why do I keep doing this to myself? No, tohon pitää presentata jossain vaiheessa kohta jotain. Katsotaan mikä se oli. I know what his motive was, but I don't have any way to prove it. I'm right. And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. Perässä on kaikki nyt läpi. But didn't you already testify earlier that Mr. Engard was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me now that too was a lie so you could cover for Mr. Engard? I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping at the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time. I keep trying, but I can find no flaws with what Miss Andrews has said. I can say the same for some people here in the courtroom, however. The judge is glaring straight at Mia. He's glaring at you, smart guy. Metals were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage. Then, what about the button? The button? It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and his murderer fought. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the Jammin' Ninja's costume. You're talking about this button, correct? That button was found in the pleats of Matt's hakama, isn't that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence. Looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright. Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Thank goodness Mia can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes. Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony. Okei, 2 lisäystä. Kumpi näistä on oikein? Varmaan tää viimeisimpi. The button was torn off one during his fight with Matt. Mä en kyllä keksi tähän kyllä mitään vastaan väitettävää. And how do you know that? When the ends of the threads on the button and the costume were matched up, they were found to fit together perfectly. Also I heard. I've heard that before too. But why would Miss Andrews know about this case down to such a fine detail? Don't look at me like that, just because I'm prepared and you are not. And I thought I'd heard this time for sure. If there's anything to trip her up on, it has to be here, but where and what? Toiseksi viimeinen button was torn off. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him. But what you really did was stab the guy in the back, didn't you? And at the worst possible time. Who's to say she really stabbed the guy in the back, as you put it? This witness could have disclosed the things about my Mr. card at any time. Why then would she wait until there was a large audience before doing so? This is the same reason why Mr. Corrida planned such an elaborate conference. Miss Andrews wanted to cause Mr. Encard as much damage as she possibly could. This witness bears ill will towards the defendant. This isn't the Phoenix Wright Back's philosophical power hour. And please stop slandering the witness. As I expected, Miss Andrews' testimony seems pretty solid. Really? Because to me it sounded like a little wishy-washy. Wishy-washy? Well, I guess we'll see if I press a little more. You should knock this by now. No egg knock. But you'll need strong, decisive evidence to make her talk. Got it, Chief. I'm going to pin you down this time, Miss Andrews. Tämä oli minkä se lisäsi. I know what his motive. Mitä sä sanot tähän? Mitä mä väittäisin tähän vastaan? I know what his motive was, but I don't have any way to prove I'm right. No ei mulla kyllä tähän mitään sanottua. Ja tämä olisi mikä lisättiin. The button was torn off of one during his fight with Matt. Jos mä tähän keksin jotain. Nähdäänkö mä tätä nappia itsessään? Ei. On kyllä taas ihan pihalla. Ei niinku mitään kärryä. Päättäisikö mä tähän vastaan jotain että sinä et halunnut auttaa sitä. Ei, okei, mä kysyn apua, niin ei tarvi montaa minuuttia sen sitten tuhlata aikaa miettimiseen, kun mä oon ihan pihalla. Okei, scrollilla se nämä menee eteenpäin ja taaksepäin. No, pieni hetki, mä katon. Tää oli tuo äskeinen. Oliks toi? Ei. Joo, toi oli toi konferenssiketti. Press entries on the statement my thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. My thoughts. Ei, missä tommonen mukaan on? Okei. Se tuli varmaan tuossa äsken jo. That button was torn off one. Tämä just siis. Tähän pitää persetata toi. That button was torn off one during his fight. Tähän pitää näyttää sen sitä. Tätä näin. En tiedä miksi. Onhan toki näissä niinku korrelaatio, että niinku joo. Puhutaan huonosti ja tää on se huonon ootossi, mutta miksi, niin ei mitään kärryä. This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. This strangulation. The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died. And what does that mean? Let's examine the evidence. Niin, joo. Tästä tuli mieleen, että niinku se kuoli, kun se kuristettiin. Sitten sitä iskettiin sillä puukolla. Sitten se nappi on revitty irti. Koska siinä ei voisi olla verta, koska niin, kyllä. Se veri on tullut vasta selkään, kun se on kuollut. Mut miten se liittyy tähän millään tavalla, niin en tiedä. Katsotaan, mitä Phoenix sanoo. Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off the costume. When? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly, which means It is impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's violent struggle. No eikö mä tähän kohtaan näyttänyt sitä nappia jo? Koska niinku siinä olisi sinänsä ollut niinku suorempi tie niinku sanoa toi contradictioni, vaikka se mulla nyt ei ollut sinänsä siinä mielessä ihan suoraan tämä, totesin, siinä on korrelaatio, mutta tuo, että sen autopsin kautta piti näyttää sen, niin vähän kyllä tuli muskan kautta. Se, no, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. That's right, Miss Andrews. There is no way this button was stripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off the victim's already dead body. Order! What is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this, Wright? So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim had already died? What does that change? Let me ask you a simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? We now know this button was not torn off during the fight, so the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it? Mr. Wright, does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with this button? What was it? To pin the crime on Engard. There's only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. Engard. There is no way anyone would put a bloody button on their own pants. That's right, Miss Engard was set up. But the real killer, of course. And the real murderer is... That's some kirjoitusvirhe. The real murder is... Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer then? Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet, not until the very end. The real killer is the person who planned to frame Mr. Engardis. No mulla ei ole sitä killeria täällä, että mä oon koko ajan syyttänyt Adriania, että Mr. Adrian Andrews. I chose you. You are Mr. Corrida's killer. What? Rip toistosit. Order! Mr. Wright, this is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge? Any evidence? All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews. Well, how preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. Engard naturally. The knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room. The only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Rip kolmannet lasit. Then, what about the button that was found in Matt's hakama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. Engard was the real killer, there is no way he would have put such incriminating evidence in his own hakama. Rip. Neljännet lasit. The only person who could have put this button into Mr. Engard's hakama is the person who went to wake him from his nap, which is you yet again, Miss Andrews. I see. What about the empty guitar case? That is also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. That costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was just such a costume inside the guitar case? It could have only been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. No, But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case. And it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. That's right. That's because she did not intend to leave on leaving any prints. If anyone would found out that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used towel or something else to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposely left her fingerprints on the glass to show that, yes, indeed, she was a classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. Rip, we didn't lose it. And to top it all off, there is this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on earth can believe this nickel samurai is Mr. Engard. He would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? But please stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time. Miss Andrews, I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it incriminates me. Well, yes. You're absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination by allowing a witness to not testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves. What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Sitä se pleading the fifth tarkoittaa. Olen kuullut se hyvin monesti, että en ole koskaan tullut selvää, että mitä se tarkoittaa. No, tulipahan tämäkin selville. Aina oppii jotain uutta. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Miss Engard's room. Adrian Andrews. Yes. Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? Alright. That's it. That's when Francisca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews to not testify if things looked bad. You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there is still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done. What's wrong, Wright? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence? What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. Or what? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. Circumstantial? Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Corrida. Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Corrida? I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering. But Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think? Maybe so, or maybe not. There's nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence. No, she's taking a defiant attitude again. Defiant. Mia, what should we do? Somehow we have landed in the worst possible situation. I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify, and the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof. But that's not true. In this situation, there is only one thing this court can do, and that is to declare recess. Recess? I request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter. And at tomorrow's trial, tomorrow, if we don't have tomorrow, if we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then please wait, Joanna. That's not necessary. The trial. Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya... Huh? But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... It is not impossible for this trial to continue. Miss Edgeworth, what are you? It's true, Miss Andrews holds the right as against self-incrimination. However, it's a topic of conversation where something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of. Then she has no right to withhold testimony. Yes, that is very true, but actually there is one little thing I'm curious about. Miss Andrews, when you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes, and I can't help but think how unnatural that is. Usually when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice. So my actions were unusual, but I've already... Before you speak, I want to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Your Honor, I would like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness. I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read of him. Of him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know. The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you please. When I found the body, I meant tauolle vieläkään. That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. And Juan, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over. So you brought a glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you say so in your earlier testimony? I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, then there's nothing left. I know. Edgeworth, what the heck is going on in that brain of yours? Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. But there wasn't anyone else in the room, right? Käydäänkö kysyä typeriä? Of course not. Then who did you pour it for? Tulisi se kohta. Mr. Wright, there is rhyme and reason for everything. Can you wait just a little longer for it to be revealed to you? In other words, Wright, be quiet and listen. Precisely, I couldn't have said it better myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. So it was a mess. I saw it wasn't messy because of your fight with Mr. Corrida. I understand your frustration at not being able to prove your theory. However, before you go accusing people of crimes, go find yourself some evidence. And then, what did you see next, witness? And he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. Slumped over? Yes, he was just sitting there with his head tilted forward, eyes closed. He really looked like he was sleeping. Is it just me, or did that right there sound a little odd? When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. Mites puukko? Then what did cross your mind? I thought maybe he had smashed everything up in anger because he lost the Grand Prix, and then felt tired after his rampage, so he decided to take a nap. Anyways, that's what I thought. I see, so you didn't think he was dead at all? When I saw him sitting like that, it was dead, it crossed my mind. Joo, muistan tämä. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. You thought he fainted? I thought he was asleep at first, but then the room was in such a messy state. I thought maybe he had gotten into a fight with someone. And that's when you went to pour the glass of juice. Yes, he always has a hard time breaking up. So one always has a glass of tomato juice to drink. I see. And after that, what happened next? When I realized that he was dead, that was when I knocked the flower vase over. And how did you come to realize that he was in fact dead? I shook him over and over, but I never got a response. So I set the glass down on the dresser and tried to take his pulse. I was shocked and staggered backwards. I knocked the flower vase over, so that's what happened. Yes. This is what it all comes down to. This is the absolute end for both sides, and Adrian is letting her guard down. Phoenix, now is our best chance to get to kill the prosecution's case. Isn't that a bit harsh? Miss Andrews, will you tell us the truth this time? Tähän, jos meneekin sattumalta väärin. Mites tämä puukko? Aha, ei mitään mainita puukosta. Rinnassa törröttävä puukko ei mitenkään herätä sulle huomiota. Ellei sä nyt sitten myönsit, että se oli sinä, joka laittoi sinne iske siihen. Koetaan vielä tätä näin. se tässä näyttäisi, joo, tässä se kommentoisi, että sillä on pukkareiden tässä, ehkä. So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him? No, not at all. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body. Ah. What is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? This is a nice sticking straight out of Mr. Corey's chest. No niin, kyllä. Pitää näyttää sitä hemmetin kuvaa, eikä kelpattaa puukko, missä varsinaisesti puhutaan. Miksei molemmat voinut kelpata? No, onneksi mulla on pystynyt lataamaan peli. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that here was a dead man. That's, well, you see, I doubt a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who fainted and then nonchalantly go pour something to drink. Yeah, your point is, Miss Andrews, your testament just now, it was all one giant lie. Rip Alexander kuudentosit, and your lie has proven one thing very clearly. That you are the real killer. No. It looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matt Engard, is not guilty after all. But that's impossible. You're wrong. Miss Andrews, try to have some composure. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt, I swear it. He's the one who killed Juan. But you were the one who refused to testify. And your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because, Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you? I refuse to testify. Then there is no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Matt Engard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated. Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Miss Phoenix? Usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't. Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Matt Engard. Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time. But the reason is quite simple. This witness has yet to speak the absolute, real truth. The absolute, real truth? What are you? Witness, don't you understand yet? Huh? I don't know what planted this silly idea in your head. Who planted it? But as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Matt Engard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. And that's a lie. I don't believe you. What? I was told if I spoke, then it would be all over, and Matt would never be declared guilty. What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it? I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Franziska von Kama. Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the verse of another. Because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then right now, Miss Andrews is. Yesterday she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss von Kama. Don't say a word, no matter what happens. If you do, Matt Engard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now and is clinging onto them. Then what should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across anything like this. But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is get our not guilty. This is my only priority. It wasn't me. I'm begging you, please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help, please. Someone, help me. Mr. Wright. Yes, Joanna. The court can't continue on like this. Therefore, I'd like to hear what you intend to do. What I intend to do. Well, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? Right, I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime. Who is the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? The killer on the real mastermind. There's no one else it could be except the woman crying over there, right? Come now, what will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? Force Andrews to testify. I have to win a complete acquittal today. There's no way around that. But I can't bring myself to do it like this. Not when she's making a face like that. Miss Andrews, I would like to know what you are really hiding. Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you are doing? Sir, Mr. Engard would get an acquittal, but in his place you would be found guilty. Is this how you really want this trial to end? Be quiet. How dare you? You are trying to trick me. That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear that the defense's theory is the truth. You are wrong. What a shame. Huh. I had hoped that things wouldn't come to this, however. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court. Stop. Mr. Edgeworth. This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness. What? And because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past. Stop. Please stop. No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here. That's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report. What will you do now, witness? You know what I'm about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews. The secret of her dependent nature. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world. Please stop. I beg you. If people find out, I'll... If you are going to say you wouldn't choose death, that is of no concern to me. If you are going to say you would choose death, that is of no concern to me. Edgeworth, how can you be so cold? However, before you die, I will pull the truth from your still breathing lips. No matter what I have to do. So, will you tell the court yourself, or shall I? Either is fine with me. I'll talk, but please, help me. Nothing matters anymore. My crime. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted, honest. When I realized he was dead, that was when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And then I stabbed Juan's dead body with a knife and ripped off the button. Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's why I ended up using the nickel samurai costume. I stabbed the body with a knife, but why would you do that? Isn't it obvious to pin the blame on a certain person, a certain cowardly man? Well, what do you mean by all of this? It might take this court a little while to understand, but this is true. This is the truth. The real killer is Matt. That scumbag of a man. I'll never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again, just like last time. So Miss Andrews stabbed the victim Juan Corrida in the chest with a knife. However, she didn't do it with murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt in guard for the murder. And this is her crime. What? How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer? Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence the cross-examination. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted, honest. But you could tell from the state the room was in that there must have been a fight. Are you telling the truth when you say that you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck, but that scarf is part of the German ninja's costume, so I didn't think anything about it was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up and went to pour the juice. When I realized he was dead, that was when I formulated my plan. What is this plan you had? I knew right away that the murderer was Matt. I knew because he was going to expose Matt's weakest weak point to the world. So Matt did this to stop Juan and silence him for good. That's when I thought I should forge some evidence and pin this crime on Matt. So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button. The first thing that came to mind was to plant the knife. Once I said there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. That was so you could get the knife correct. The knife Matt used at dinner had his fingerprints all over it. I thought if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. I slipped in, took the knife and returned to the scene of the crime. And then I stabbed Juan's dead body with a knife and ripped off the button. So you were the one to stab the victim with that knife. It gives me goosebumps to think about it now. What a horrible thing that I did. But at the same time, I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. Then, when I stabbed Juan's dead body, I suddenly realized something. If I used the button somehow, I could make Matt look even more suspect. So you thought to rip one of the buttons off and then plant it in Mr. Engard's hakama. Yes, that's what I had planned to do. But things never go that smoothly, do they? Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. An inconvenience? There was a woman with a camera at the ready, loitering in the hallway. I'm willing to bet my spikes it was Lada. There was also a woman with a ray gun at the ready, pacing back and forth. That's Miss Oldback for you. I had already been caught and made into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once, so I couldn't very well go out looking like myself and get caught again. And that's why I ended up using the nickel samurai costume. You were the one who prepared that costume, weren't you? Yes, I took it from Global Studios. I also put it into Juan's guitar case the day before the award ceremony. You did this in preparation for the press conference, correct? Yes, Juan wanted to wear that costume and hold a press conference in it. He was going to disclose my big secret there. What is this secret? That I don't know. Anyway, I thought that if I were to leave Juan's room in the nickel samurai costume, then people would think that Matt was the real murderer. I was very careful not to leave any fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume. I think we have heard enough. So after that, you went back to Mr. Engar's room and planted the button. In the Matsakama? Yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into a bag. Then I snuck it out of the hotel and got rid of it. My word, what does all of this mean? Mr. Edgeworth, is it? The real criminal is Matt Engard. Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk. Franziska Ham. She said that I should, under no circumstances, confess to what I had done. That if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words. Syvä hiljaisuus. What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, we can be certain she is not the real killer. Wait, Joanna. The defense still... Right. It's pointless. At this point in time, it is not possible to indict Miss Andrews on anything. Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points to her as the murderer. The cross-examination of this witness is over, and so is today's trial. You couldn't establish that the witness was the culprit. Please let it go, Mr. Wright. But... Mr. Edgeworth, please place Miss Andrews under arrest for further questioning. Understood, Joanna. The prosecution will arrange for her detention immediately. That is all. Court is adjourned for today. Oh no. Epäonnistuttiin. Today's trial. It's over. And I didn't win an acquittal. Witness, would you mind if I ask you something? Edgeworth? What is it? Before you leave court today, I wondered if I might look at one thing. That card in your hand. It's had my interest for quite some time now. What exactly is it? Oh, this? Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although I didn't remember at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright. I don't remember just now, Dr. Guy. I found this in the room on that day. The room? That day? Yes. I found this card when I discovered Juan's body. It was lying there, right next to him. You found that card next to the victim's body. Joo, imuri heräs. Kai mä voin jatkaa. Ei se puina sillä niin hirveän pahasti pitäisi kuulua. Se kun se käy tyhjentämässä itsensä, niin siitä lähtee kauhean melu. Jos aina kun se herää, niin se yrittää tyhjentää itsensä. Se pitäisi sota tuo laite. Ja siitä lähtee kauhean melu. No, jatketaan. I was osamassa unconsciously slip it into my pocket. but it's not as if this card has any relevance to one's murder, right? Yeah, I guess not, but it's still a strange card if you ask me. Sillä on sun satut tietämästä. Minä satun tietämään. But as far as I glue this case. But as far as I glue to this case, I don't see why. Witness, that card. Give it to me, hurry. Edgeworth, do you have any idea what you have stupidly, yet inadvertently done? Se on pois todistusaineistoa rikospaikalta. This, I can't believe you hid this from me all this time. I didn't mean to. What's all this about? I've never seen Edgeworth so emotional before. What god? What in the world is this? And what does it mean? To be continued. No, ei tarvinnut enää sitä vielä kuuntelmalta. Imurin pöhinää sen pidemmäksi aikaa. Se on ensi videossa pois. Katso jaksanko jatkaa estämään. Tää on nyt vihdoin viimein mennyt tää keissi mielenkiintoiseksi, mutta mua vaan väsyttää, uuvuttaa. Vähän nyt pakotin tekemään nämä 2 videoa nyt tänään. En saa tätä episodia nyt tänään YouTubeen. Katsotaan saisi kuulua. Mutta kiitos kun katsoitte ja jatketaan seuraavassa videossa.